Just getting back to basics and just documenting what I'm thinking and feeling in the present moment instead of trying to achieve something. Just see what actually emerges in my awareness while I have a camera pointed at me. And immediately I have a white car pulling up, looking directly at me. And that affects me still to this day. I have this idea in my head that I'm supposed to have evidence of my growth, that I've mastered this. I'm totally comfortable in front of the camera. Nothing can shake me, but that would be incredible. It would be totally insane to be able to just focus all of your awareness, especially when it's not like there's no goal, there's no plan. We're just actually trying to be with ourselves in a moment. And I've totally forgotten how vulnerable that really is until recently, when I set my audience, you guys, the challenge to record yourselves and just see how it feels. And I've watched what you've done with that, and it's just taken me all the way back in time to my humble beginnings of just how uncomfortable it was just to even sit and have the camera on, and how much resistance and everything. The funny thing is though, you don't realize it, but you don't look like it's really hard when people make these videos. No matter how little experience somebody has or how uncomfortable they are, they still come across as it's okay. It just looks like no worries. And I find that fascinating because they do, people, you can see that they get the job done. They can record a video journal, express what they're thinking and feeling, be really vulnerable and totally authentic. And it's incredible. But if you sort of analyze them, or you read between the lines, or you really listen to what they're actually saying, you can see how hard it is. And I guess I've been thinking that I want to be perceived as having all of that dealt with. Now I'm totally comfortable and confident to speak my mind and just flow with everything. And it's actually still hard. It's still a massive challenge every single time I turn the camera on. It does get easier, but it doesn't get heaps easier. It doesn't get to a point where, or at least for me in the present moment, I've been doing it for years and I still feel apprehensive, and it's hard to focus the mind and my awareness and just be here with the camera and deliver a coherent stream of consciousness. That it just seems like a discipline that needs to be developed and developed and developed. It's so hard not to let your mind wander, and this is such an interesting way to develop and train that metacognition, or that way of being. Just show up in front of the camera and try to string together a coherent stream of thought or stream of consciousness. It's incredible, really. And I'm only really appreciating what we're doing, or what I'm doing in the present moment through this journal, when I'm actually seeing other people do it. I'm like, wow, is that what I've been doing? It's incredible to see. It's incredible to see somebody else do it. And I finally kind of got that feeling of why people watch these, because that's been something that I just have not understood. I've started to allow myself to, believe that some people just really resonate with my particular perspective. I thought maybe there's just some people that just feel like so similar to me that it's like familiarity, like we just feel like we're vibing. But yeah, like as I'm watching other people do it, it's fascinating, and I feel like I would watch just about anybody uh, try to articulate a cohesive stream of thoughts and feelings if they're like fully doing it, like if it's not like a script or a plan, or and there's no agenda, if they're really just in the present moment trying to string together whatever's emerging as it's emerging. That's just so interesting to me. So I've also found a couple of people that are totally unrelated that don't know, like I don't know them, they don't know me, and I've watched those as well. And yeah, finding inspiration in the most like unexpected places. Like I've always wondered like why this is worth doing and where the value is in it. I knew where the value was for me because I was developing my communication skills, and I was working through so many different dimensions of self-consciousness, like all the different ways that I was self-conscious, and learning how to just be me, really, and like creating space for that, creating a like you intending to practice being myself and like find out who I am, which is a really weird thing to say, but like when you start actually trying to document what you're thinking and feeling in the present moment, what you actually get is a record of who you were in that particular moment. And like over time you build this mosaic, and you can kind of look back over it and go, all of these little snippets are little pieces of who I am as a person, or who I've been. Because like that's an insight that is just like mind-boggling. But like as we're growing and changing, we're growing and changing so much that who I am today is so different to who I was yesterday and who I'll be tomorrow. And you really start to grow an appreciation of that when you do this journaling process. Discomfort. That was something that I practiced, was just allowing time to pass. That took all of my willpower and discipline at a moment in time in the past. Like just to pause in a video was like the most expert level difficult thing to do for me. I could not allow time to pass. I would want to just stop the video, call the whole thing off. Like I can't do this. Like every little thing became an excuse to disconnect from myself in the moment, which is like what it feels like. I feel like I'm connecting with myself in this moment. I've got this sort of secure connection with the different parts of myself, and all of the data is flowing, and I'm expressing that information that's emerging in my awareness verbally. And it's just like so many moving parts in a way, but at the same time so simple, like anybody could do it. But I guess it's the thinking about what you're doing is another thing that you distract yourself with, and another excuse that gets you to stop. Like, am I just talking about like all of these layers of things that are going on, and I'm not really reaching the point? Am I just talking nonsense? And maybe I am. And that's like the next level of excuses that I got to. Like I would record these journals, and I would have all of these experiences and insights, and then I would look at it and I would just think, who in their right mind would ever want to witness that? Like there's no value there for another human being. And I would start with my like rational egoic mind, like starting to like pick and choose what I believed people needed to hear. And there's been some videos that I was not going to post that like have ended up being some of the most engaging things. And different people resonate with different stuff, and there's so much like, why am I trying to control it? Like, why am I trying to decide? Or I don't know, the objection immediately came to my mind that you got to put some rational thought into this. Like, all the different aspects of being need to be incorporated into delivering whatever this is. Like, I can't just go off into like a totally abstract emotional place where I'm just articulating all of these disconnected pieces, even though like sometimes that will resonate. Like, I guess I want to bring it all back and back to a place where, okay, so it makes sense to me. I can see how it could make sense to others, and I could see potential for insights to emerge when either myself or other people observe what is happening in these recordings. Like, that's what I think is important to me. But the funny thing is, like I said, tomorrow I would articulate it differently, and yesterday I would have articulated it differently. But these insights, they are forever. Like, I posted recently a short little thing on my Instagram story. Knowing is different to remembering, because if you know, you don't need to remember. So a true insight or an epiphany, which is like, I think of an insight as like a little piece of the puzzle finding its place. And I think of an epiphany as like just that moment when you're doing like a jigsaw puzzle and you find that first insight, that piece that just finds its place, and then you realize like all the pieces around it, exactly where they go, and you just get like this massive amount of information in 1 second. So yeah, when you have these insights, they're forever, is what I'm going to go with in the moment. Or these epiphanies, like if you truly have an insight or an epiphany, it goes beyond the part of you that remembers things, and like you look to that part of your mind and your awareness for memories to make sense of information in the present moment. And a true insight or a true epiphany is like a permanent change to your system of beliefs, your model of reality. Like, if you have a true insight or a true epiphany, it changes the lens through which you see the world forever. And that's where the value comes. And the value, it's not me telling you. Like, you can't give somebody an insight or an epiphany. You can just guide them to the realm of thinking and reasoning and questioning and feeling that causes the insight to emerge from within them. So particular people are going to resonate with particular messages, and that's going to be the reason that they start listening. They're just going to have this feeling that this is going to lead them to this moment where that puzzle piece is going to find its place and potentially cause all of the other pieces around it to suddenly make sense, and that's your epiphany. So that's, I guess, something along those lines is how I would articulate what I'm trying to do here most of the time. Like, it's like I've articulated it in all different ways, but that has like been a consistent thing that I would say. Like, I want to bring people to a point where they have their own insights and epiphanies, and just like those aha moments where all the dots connect and all those pieces fall into place, or they finally give themselves permission to start the thing that they've always dreamed of doing. If I can get somebody there, or if I can get somebody to the place where they get themselves there, that's what you really want to do. Because, if I convince you to do something, then in a way, you're not taking responsibility for it. But if I convince you to think about doing something and then you decide to do it, then that's your decision. You're 100% responsible for that decision. You've made that commitment, and it has far less to do with me. And the more responsibility we take for our decisions, the more we own our choices, the more committed we're going to automatically be to our own journey. Like, if somebody tells you to do something, you're so much less likely to do it than if you decide to do something. So in this weird way, like, I don't really make so much of the how-to content and telling people how to live their lives and like talking at people. I'm sort of just like floating around in my own awareness, having my own thoughts and thinking about how I'm approaching reality. And I'm just thinking, like, at some stage in all of this exploration of my own inner self, somebody else might go, oh, that's exactly it, and off they go. And for the best case scenario for this channel is that you forget that I even exist, and you just go and like implement a whole bunch of crazy changes that lead you to your best life, or lead you to anything, lead you to wherever you want to go. You know, if you get anything out of these videos, please pass them on to others you know who may benefit. Click the like button for me, leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and go check out kailives.com. I'm going to be building that and building that. It's my new thing that I'm really keen to like secure, like make it awesome. Like, and like, it's like the seed has been planted, the seedling has sprouted, and now I'm just like watering it and like thinking, like trimming the leaves and like, how can we make this, how can we give this everything that it needs to thrive?